want to welcome you to our fall sports parent meeting. We have our coaches in attendance tonight, as well as our athletic secretary, Wendy Morris, Brett Arnold, Chris Gillia, Josh Bissett, Kirsten Maskell, John Strecker, Brett Arnold, and Molly Keeler. So, want to get going. We apologize for some of the technical difficulties with the live stream, but we're going to go forward, and this link will be shared shortly. All right. As you know, this has been quite a crazy year. We're going through quite a few changes and making tons of modifications and protocols, and we're in hybrid. So here with the athletic department, we're trying to stay on top of all the different requirements needed to run a successful program. Our coaches, we've met, we've gone over all the protocols. Just want to now have an opportunity to share with you what those protocols are. And as always, if you have questions, please contact your coach or myself as well. Looking forward to the best possible year we can have under the circumstances. All right, so going forward, we're going to share my screen so you can follow along. Again, there's a link that went home early in the week that had an opportunity to send questions. I received those questions, and throughout the presentation, we should cover those questions. So they'll be coming through. If there's a question in the future, feel free to send it to me. Our athletes were able to get out early this week or last week, and we got some photos, so it was a good start. So going forward, certainly in order to participate in Waterford Athletics this year, if a student opts in for the full-time remote learning, they will not be allowed to participate. Most of the people that would have signed on are already in the educational model, which is the hybrid. So with that, you are allowed to participate. Physicals, this is usually a topic that comes up every year. Physicals are typically valid for 13 months. The Connecticut State Medical Society and the Sports Medicine Committee worked with the CIAC, and they believe that, because it's so difficult to get into the doctor's office, that 15 months, your physical has been moved to 15 months. We still need you to do everything you can to try to get into the office and have your yearly sport physical. But again, if you can't get in, we will take a bridge note that if it's within that time, but we really need all our athletes to do their best to get a physical within the 15 months time frame. This year, our schedules are going to be all regionally. So within our league, which is the ECC, in addition to some tech schools that have joined the northern schools. But right now, that was done just to try to keep the reduce of spread of COVID throughout the state. I've also added on this slide, the buildings on Wednesdays and Saturdays are a deep clean day. So on those days, there is going to be limited access, which really makes it really difficult for, if there's poor weather, to get inside the building. So it's going to be certainly a different environment this year, but we're going to do the best we can. So at the beginning of every practice, or just before every practice, our coaches are sending out a self-screening form to all the athletes and all the coaches. Every day, all athletes and athletic staff will perform this health screening. The screening asks questions like, do you have a fever or chills? Do you have a cough? Do you have shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, loss of taste or smell? Have you been in contact with someone that tested positive of COVID within the last 14 days? And then we also added the travel advisory question. So every day, those questions are going to be added. Before practice begins, the coaching staff will go through their protocol, and their job is to just double check all the responses of all our athletes and make sure that no athlete has checked yes. If for some reason an athlete has checked yes, uh, the coaches will contact me right away. We will then have a discussion in terms of uh, what the response was, and then we will follow the protocol from there. So some of the options are, if somebody answers yes to a COVID symptom, the next question that we're going to ask was, and we'll either look at the form and answer this question, or we'll make a phone. The coach or myself will make a phone call home. Home will say, was there any close contact with someone who was in a positive case of COVID? And again, depending on that response, we'll then kind of go to the next stage, and we're going to look at if it was yes, you might have to go get a COVID test. If that test is positive, you may have to isolate. If it was negative, if depending on what it is, you may have to um, quarantine for 14 days. So everything depends on what the responses are in the form or our conversation. So if for some reason um, in most cases, if there's a yes, you're looking at, and you were in close contact with somebody with a positive case, you're probably looking at either a 10-day or a 14-day just removal from the team. And again, it's not a punishment. It's just we're looking to contain, and from that we will start the communication protocol with the superintendent, and we work with the Ledgelight Health District as well. So, you know, we're going to work on a case by case basis, and kind of figure out what situation we have to take. Again, if somebody was to test positive for COVID, administration, local Department of Health will be immediately notified, and then we start the communication protocol with the superintendent. So we're going to start looking at as we're reopening. It's kind of in 4 stages. Stage 1 was kind of where we are now, which is the 1-hour practices in cohorts of 10, looking at 30 minutes of conditioning and 30 minutes of skill work. Right now, skill work is non-contact, looking to make sure we maintain the 6 feet, social distance of 6 feet. As we move on to stage 2, that's going to move our practice times up to 90 minutes. Again, 45 minutes of conditioning, 45 minutes of skill work. And stage 3, that's where we're at 2-hour practices, where 45 conditioning, 75 skill work. Once we get to stage 4, which is the full team, that's where we're at 2-hour practices, and we're looking at, that's where we start having a little bit more contact. Actually, stage 3, you'll start to see a little bit more contact. The same plan that Waterford Public Schools have and across the state, we adhere to all DPH means and methods for disinfecting and cleaning of the schools. That includes all the locker rooms, training room, all our equipment that we're looking to take care of. We want to make sure that all of the equipment and the game balls, that's all being disinfected before and after every practice. A game, our coaches have all the supplies they need to really try to make sure that they're doing all they can to keep our kids safe from getting the virus or spreading any type of virus. So we're really diligent upon that. And if you have any further questions, feel free to talk to your coach or myself. There's tons of hand sanitizers. That's really big. We want to make sure that we're promoting it. Our coaches are promoting it. We need you at home to also help with making sure that we're washing hands and just kind of keep drilling those things. The mask wearing, the social distancing, and good hygiene, washing your hands is really going to be how we're going to fight this. Again, all our athletes, when they're in the building, they need to have a mask. When they're on the sidelines, when they're at practice, they should have a mask with them. And when they're not if they're not in a vigorous activity, they should have that mask on, such as when they're sitting on the bench or talking with a coach, interacting with the trainer. We really want to keep those masks on whenever we can. Hydration, we ask all our athletes to make sure they're bringing a water bottle every day. We do not want to share water bottles. We do have the big water coolers for refilling in the building throughout the day. When they have their water bottle, they certainly can fill up in the water fountain, which all in the entire school has been changed over to water bottle filling stations. So there's plenty of opportunities for kids to stay hydrated and have their bottles filled. This year during away games and home games, or during away games, if parents choose to transport their sons or daughters to or from any away contest, we're asking that you fill the travel release form. In the past, this was done kind of on a game by game basis. This year, we're going to allow pretty much, if you want to do all the away games, you want to uh, if you want to transport your child, then one form will cover you for the entire year. It's really important that uh, parents also understand that, athletes are not permitted to drive themselves to away contests. Uh, you know, and want to make sure when they are on the bus, if they are going to games, that they wear a mask as well. We follow the same busing strategies as the regular school. We load the athletes from back to front and then unload from front to back. Right now, we're able to operate at full capacity while in our current stage. The locker rooms, we're trying to use those as little as possible. They're really just for changing, and really just for changing if you were in school all day and you right after school, you come in the locker room and then you quickly change. Coaches are there. They're monitoring how many people can be in the locker room at a time. Each locker room has a limit. So right now, coaches are managing that. And if those athletes that need to get into the locker room, they go in, they change. There's a marking on the floor of where they should be changing to maintain social distance. So practices, we certainly understand that there's a variety of people have varying situations at home. And within the hybrid model, we have half our student body at home and half our student body in school on a given day. We understand, and our coaches understand, that on some days you just may not be able to get back to the high school for practice. So the expectation is that you will attend practice every day, but if you cannot attend for some reason, all we ask is that you communicate with your coach. You be upfront. You make sure that they know that you didn't just skip practice. And if it's because you have to watch your sibling at home this year because of the current situation, and you can't get back to school, we understand that. So we want to do all we can to be understanding. But on the athlete's end, we just hope that they will communicate and just not show up. Going kind of like, this is a slide from an older presentation, but just kind of the communication expectations. We really want to promote our athletes to, when they do have issues with the coach or with whoever, to really be, have that one-on-one conversation. That should be the first step. Um, you know, as parents, I think our job is to promote that conversation for the athletes, and that will really help them as they get older. I think it's a good situation for the coaches. Coaches can try to articulate what's going on, and with their certain concern. Certainly, if it's a little bit above that level, and you know they need to see me or whoever, you know, or if the parent wants to talk to the coach. I mean, again, just kind of communicate that to the coach through a remind, through a message, an email, and I'm sure the coaches will work with you to do that. But if the players can try to solve those conflicts first, that's really what we want to see. What we expect from our coaches to the parents is to really, during your team meetings that they have, to articulate their philosophy, establish clear expectations, and what we expect from our parents is, any team-based or individual concerns expressed directly to the coach. Obviously, notification well advance of any scheduled conflict. So if you have something coming up, just let your coach know as early as you can. This year, the ECC has made a decision to not allow spectators during indoor or outdoor contests until further notice. Uh, so this also is important when if you are bringing your child to an away contest, uh, understand that throughout the entire ECC, this has been the rule. This is a rule that was established that spectators will not be in attendance. We're fortunate for most of our sports here in the fall that we have the NFHS network. So all home games that are on the field turf and all home games in the field house are automatically live streamed um, through the NFHS network. Now there is a fee for that, but it's 10.99 a month or 69.99 for the year. A typical game for to get into a game at a home game is about $5 per adult. So I think the cost is pretty good, and considering that the situation we're in um, with the COVID, having the opportunity to still see the games is definitely in live time is a nice feature that we have. As well, many of the visiting teams like NFA, like East Lyme, Ledyard. There's many schools now that went out and bought this same system that we have. So a membership in Waterford works for a game that is at an away contest at Ledyard, at Stonington, at East Lyme. So certainly hope that you'll all be able to take advantage of that. We have a slide about the pool. The pool will follow all USA swimming guidelines for COVID-19 for the cleaning and operations. Coach Arnold's been really on top of all that, and we work together to kind of make sure that we have all the things that we need to make the pool environment as safe as possible. Again, no spectators, and as well, this year we will not be allowing any outside people um, the into the pool. So a swim meet this year for our swim team would be virtual. So we would have an official come to our pool, and then if we were competing against another school, an official would go to that pool, and they would do their own time trials, and then we would compare at the end. So not ideal, but again, we're trying to give an opportunity whenever we can and trying to limit the spread. The ECC has created game protocols for each sport. It might, be travel roster sides, safe facilities, the spectator policy, who's considered essential game personnel, face coverings and announcements, and all that. So all the ECC protocols, our Waterford Public Schools fall opening plan is all on our webpage. So we certainly hope that you will, if you have any further questions on some of those specifics, those can be found on the Waterford fall sports plan. Our athletic trainer, she's great. Haley Lugo, she's our athletic trainer. She's really will be working with all our coaches to try to give the support that they need and keep our athletes, if when there is an injury, as safe as possible. She has weekly hours that she's emailing out to the head coaches. They're also posted outside the athletic training room. Right now, we only allow one athlete in the training room at a time with a mask. So it's really important that we try to do some sort of an appointment. So if there's something that you need, certainly work with the coach. Coaches will work with Haley and make sure that we get what we need. If a referral to a physician is required, we want to make sure that we have a signed doctor's note. That needs to be turned in order to return to play. So if something comes up, you need to return to play, just needs to be a signed doctor's note. And then a few other notes. The note must state that the athlete can return to play or must clearly list the restrictions. So your notes that when you go to the doctor, you want to be as specific as possible, just so it helps the return to play protocol. Concussions, those always go through once you get cleared. Any athlete who's suspected of having a concussion must be held out, obviously, until they're evaluated by a licensed healthcare professional. Now, who are those? It's an athletic trainer, which is Haley, a physician assistant, or an APRN who is trained in the evaluation and management of concussions. There is the 5 stages that Haley goes through. She'll work with the athlete, on clearing them and making sure that they fill that 5-stage return to play. Contact information, Haley's certainly always available. Here's her number. If you want to take a second to write that down, 860-437-6956. That's the school number, and her extension is 7410. Feel free to leave a message at that number, as well her email address. She just want to send a message that she is here to help. So we thank all the work that she's done for our athletes over the last several years. School attendance, it's expected whether you are remote or present in school that you're there. This year, we're certainly trying to work with our coaches. Our coaches probably this week will be getting daily list of who was in attendance and who wasn't in attendance. So if there's a reason why they're not in attendance, make sure that you are contacting the Waterford High School attendance secretary, and we make sure that that's taken care of. But we do hope and we do expect that all our kids are in school every day, whether remote or in school. A great resource for you as parents and athletes is the CIAC mobile. And this can be saved to your desktop, and it works just like an app. And on that app, you search Waterford, and you'll have a list of your game and practice schedules, rosters, any tourney information. But it's a nice app that the CIC offers. Now, some of you may have already had your individual sport meetings. Some teams will be having them shortly, and that your coach will make sure they go over any policies, expectations, or team protocols that are specific to that sport. So you can expect those meetings, likely virtual, in the next week or so. All right. Well, that's the end of the presentation. I know right now for our football athletes and our volleyball athletes, their season has been kind of on limbo in the last several weeks. Just a quick update on football and volleyball. Volleyball right now, through the CIAC, was given the clearance to participate indoors with masks. We're hoping, administration's hoping that there's still going to be a DPH approval on that. So that's kind of like the last stage for us. But as of right now, we're kind of going with the idea that approval will be coming shortly. Football, 11v11 football was canceled for this year. And I say this year for the fall, and I need to stress that because the ADs, coaches, the CIAC, our ECC league, we're all going to work hard to try to make sure that we give an opportunity to our football athletes. As we kind of dealt with last spring, having anybody not lose out on an opportunity is really a difficult thing. And we want to do all we can to give the athletes who work so hard in the off season to have a good experience. And, what that experience is going to be at this point is being worked on. It could be a range of 7-on-7, kind of a passing league format with additional things. So like I said, our ECC chair is working with our coaches this week to hopefully have a better idea of what that will look like. And we'll be working with Coach Strecker and his staff to try to make sure that we give a good opportunity for those kids. And we're still hopeful that, and I know in our league, we're still going to push for a possible opportunity in the spring semester. Again, how that looks, we don't know, but that's something that we're going to still fight for. And, if it ends up working in the end, that'll be great for our athletes. So we're hoping it will. We want it to work. We know how hard these kids are working, and we know how much football means to so many kids. So we hope it's going to be a good opportunity.
Chris, I got texted a couple of questions from parents who would like them addressed on the video.
Okay.
First one is from Mary Westcott. She wants to know about the sanitizing of footballs between individual plays. How often do they have to be sanitized?
So right now we're looking at sanitizing as much as we can within the cohorts. I know the football team is trying to do within, doing every single rep is very difficult, but every few reps is really kind of what we've been trying to do, and if not more. So I think that's the guidance, is to try to, as often as possible, wipe and disinfect, the footballs down.
Okay, and Carrie Pickett wants to know if there's any recourse on the football decision, and is football the only sport being canceled, and what options do we have?
Yeah, so football is the only sport right now that was canceled 11v11. Football was not canceled. Football was not canceled for the year. So right now, where we are, so September 21st is in the same phase that we were before the decision. We want to keep working, conditioning, and working on our skill work. And then following that, we want to, hopefully by the 21st, we'll be in the next stage where we can begin looking at what those football-related activities might be. Again, we're working on that this week, and hopefully we'll have a better idea of what that's actually going to look like. But certainly, football is not over as far as I'm concerned. I'd like to see us continue to work, and once we have the plan for what those football-related activities are that keeps us in the low and moderate risk, that's what we're going to do. Okay. All right. Those are the questions. I know the questions that were sent to me I covered during this presentation. I thank Coach Strecker for those questions. And again, it's a tough situation for everybody. We hope that you, as your family, you stay safe. You continue to follow the mitigating strategies of wearing masks, staying socially distanced, doing all the things you can to keep us in school and keep our kids playing as long as possible. I wish you a good evening. I thank all our coaches that are in attendance tonight, and I wish you all the very best. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call or email. Thank you.